Well, hi guys, how you doing? My name's Paul. This is Plan Z. Welcome to the session. Hopefully this finds you very well. Today we're going to be diving into the orange. We're really going to be focused. If you're familiar with the GT1000, we've got 5 patches. We've got 50 banks, but 5 patches per bank. And today we're going to be really focused on the 2 patches that, if you've been following, that I'm using to color these mixes. And these first 3 patches, 1, 2, 3, are my amps. But let's just get orientated. So if you've not joined the sessions before, welcome. Hopefully you're well. Now what happens is we come to GT1000, and here I've got a divider where when I split that, I've got a synth in there. Ooh, let me bring my gain and my tone up. Okay, so I can add my synth. Let's go to a different synth. Let's just put a different. Okay, and that synth is then coming out of my main outs, which are down here, which this goes out to 2 notes. Now I set my main outs to line level. Let me just change that synth up. So I set out to line level on my main outs, and I turn all the mic level off on both sides, and I turn all the direct mix up, and I've got a 2 notes cab M on each side, where I've got a SM57 on the right and I can't remember, it's a condenser mic on the left. Can't have the ribbon 121 with the orange, so if I remember right, so it's a condenser mic that's there. And that's going out through the 2 notes orange, 412s with an EL34. Now my wet channels are going out of Boss GT sub outs, where I'm set to recording. I've got my mic level up, all the direct mixes off, so the opposite is the other side as the main outs. But I'm just using a flat mic on the 412s on all of these first 3 patches, so that I've got consistent wets. Okay, I'm using so when we're hearing the dry tone, we're literally hearing GT amps going through EQ, noise suppression, and then here. Now I've got my noise suppressor in an unusual place. Normally it'd be directly after the amp, but I've put it here because I want to close off the synth as well when I turn on a fuzz a little later on today when we get a bit heavy. Now let's have a little look at the amps first. So we've got a low gain. So this is the orange stack, and I've tried to clean it up. I don't know if you know, if you've not got a GT1000, we get like the high gain channel of orange rock reverb, and then they give us a low, medium, high gain of that high gain channel, if that makes any sense to you. So what I've done is I've set up this amp as a low gain, and if I wanted to, I could change this to any amp. But when I engage this button, it engages this amp, and when this button here is blue, at the back end of the amp we've got a gain switch here, and I switch between medium and high gain there. Okay, so now we're high gain, medium gain. Let me just pull that gain pot back to about 7, 8. And then high gain. Now I am cranking my mids here, and I'm cranking the trebs, the presence, taking a little bit of lows out. I'm going to be dialing the amps in a bit better after this sound check. I want to use this video actually, to sound check them before I do the deep dive. But I've got the gain on about 40, the sag on +9, the resonance on +5, and the level there at 50, 58, something like that. Okay, now that's the medium gain. When I go to the high gain, I just bump the gain up to 70. Everything else remains the same there. And here, yeah, I don't think anything changes, apart from a little bit of bass gets taken out. Yeah, I'm going to leave that like that. So that's that patch. Now, sorry, not the patch, that's the amp. Now the EQs, I generally have 3 EQs after the amp, where in the first EQ I'm dealing with my lows. So here, if I want to, I can take out a bit of 200 or bump it, but I've not done anything there. I've just got it there prepped for the 200 or 160. Now I am cutting a little bit 315, tune of -3 on a Q of 8, and I'm doing my low cut in this EQ to 125. Okay, the high cut happens in the third EQ here, where I come in at 8K. I'm then boosting a little bit of 6.3 hertz. Is that 6.3 kilohertz there? Just boosting 1 on a Q of 2, and then I'm taking out a little bit of 4K on a Q of 8, just taking out 2 dB there. Leaving the level alone, didn't need to gain stage it to bump it. Have taken a little bit of low out, not bumped the highs because I've done the boost at 6.5K. In the middle though, this middle EQ, I've got everything flat on the first page, but I'm cutting 500 -5 on a Q of 4, and boosting 800 on a widest Q at 0.5 to the tune of 3. Okay, so I can't remember if I made any changes there. I'm just going to save that. So next to that, we've got a couple of other patches. These are both the same, but in terms of their layout, as in we've got stereo amps here. So we've got this is a medium gain with the gain at 50 now rather than 45, and then I've got a high gain when I hit that button. I've got 2 of those amps, so they're split and they both change between the gain stage. Okay, and I can control whether I use the left or the right in the left or the right, if that makes sense, which is good fun for playing around with the mix. We'll get to that in a minute. And I've got another one of those here, but I go from a medium gain that's got the gain on about 35 to a low gain. Now, what I do want to look at is these 2 patches here. So let's go into this one first, where when we come in, we hit a divide and we've got an amp. I've got a synth here if I want it, but I've not assigned anything. I want to show you the sound that I've got set up coming out of my wets. You'll notice I've got all the signal when I land on this patch going directly to my wets. If I wanted to go, I can't remember how I've done it with this patch now. Yeah, okay, so my dry signal is this. So I've got a low gain, and I can add my wet channel. And if I want, I can just have the wet channel. Just going to turn something down here at a time. Okay, so let's go and let's have a little look at what's going on in here. So the first thing we hit is an analog delay. Let's just turn that volume pop down. Analog delay, where I've got the delay time at 250. Kind of, yeah, set this to your own taste, I would say. So I've got my feedback at 30. I'm leaving a lot of the highs coming through because I want that bubbling coming from my humanizer, which is over here. But then I send this, so got the effect level quite low, and I've got none of the direct mix coming through, okay? But that then goes into an X distortion, where I've got the gain up at about 80, I've got the tone up a bit, got the level in at 50, but I've taken all of the low end out, and I've got just a little bit of the direct mix coming through, about 5 I think there. That goes into a noise suppression, so we don't get kind of loads of noise. Then we go into an EQ where I try to thin it out a bit. I take some of the lows out. I'm just going to pull that high there back a little bit. I think I've been a bit overzealous there maybe. Bump the level a little bit because I'm cutting 500 Hz on a wide Q, quite a deep cut. and I'm boosting the 6.5 again. Now maybe I shouldn't be boosting 6.5. I want to get some, let's just, hang on. Yeah, I'm going to leave that at 8K, where I'm just boosting a bit there to kind of make a bit more of a meal of the tops. So here we're going into a plate reverb where I've got it up full, got the density back a bit, the tone in the middle, the time up quite high. The pre-delay is really quite fast on it. Cutting lows, not cutting the highs so much, okay? And again, I've got my low damp -10, but my high damp I'm kind of popping them up a little bit. I've got some modulation in here on a very slow mod, and I've got all of the direct mix coming through at the moment. Let's pull this back. Now I prefer that, so what I think's happening is this button here turns off my delay, and when it does, did you notice the direct level here went to 0, and then when it comes back in, the direct level goes up to 100. So I've got that on a sign. So I'm just going to go in here and I'm going to change this sign. And whilst we're in here, I'm going to show you a little something else. So what I want is I will have put somewhere in here the reverb direct level, and when it comes in, I want it to not be 100. Let's pull this right back. I'm going to pull that back to 10, so it's only a touch. Yeah, cool. Much prefer that. So what's happening is after the reverb, everything that's coming out of this little bundle here is coming into this divide where I've got the mixer set to stereo. I could go to left right. What we're going to do so we can hear what's really going on, before we do that, let's just do this. So in this one channel I've got the humanizer. We're going to go back into the assign so you can see how this is happening. Now these are moving on their own. I don't know if you know you can do this. Okay, and what I'm affecting is the rate of going really fast, slowing down but to about 45 and then coming back up. Okay, and you can do that with any parameter in here, I think. Let's just, here it is. So when you're setting up here, you can select your controls, yeah, but here I've got set to wave pedal. Alright, and then you select what you want. So you go in to your assigns. I'm not going to go in and change this because I can't quite see the screen as well as you can, but I've shown you how to make assigns. And well, actually what we'll do is let's just go distortion. Let's go, what have we got? Got anything on? What we'll do, let's go to our dry channel. Yeah, we've got distortion 1. And what we're going to do is we're going to take this tone knob and we're going to play with the tone using that wave pedal. So let's go in. Let's. I've not set this distortion up yet, so this will be interesting. I might need to play with it a little bit. But let's put the tone on and let's have it go all the way minus, all the way top. Now here, I'm just going to keep scrolling until I hit wave pedal. And I want to have that on momentary, okay? So I change that to momentary. It was on toggle, as standard they come as toggle, okay? So now when we go to here, we can see our tone is moving. So what we're going to do is going to go back in there and just turn that off, because and turning it off is as simple as that. Just turn off that block, you can see it stop moving. I'm going to leave that like that. Okay, so let's come back to our wet channel. So let's go completely wet again. Okay, so now we understand how that bubbling sound is speeding up and slowing down, okay? Okay, so what's going on in the other channel is I've just got a tremolo with some chorus on it, okay? And I've gone really aggressive with the waveform and the depth. The rate is up, but I'm MIDI synced, by the way, as you can see here. I've got the level up quite high. I've got only a little bit of the direct mix coming through, about 30%, okay? And then I've stuck a chorus on that in stereo. Now we could play with the stereo field of that and stick it on the first stereo, which will give us this. You'll hear most of our sound in the left side, but now in stereo 2 we get both sides. Okay, so I'm going to have that like that. We're going to come back to this divide here, and let's just bring them both on, so they're both on. I can't remember if I made any changes there, but let's just for good measure save that patch. And what I want to do is kind of show you how I would use that to give me some color before I start banging my amps in. But before we do, let's look at the patch that's next to it. Now this one has a filter delay on it where I've set the panning. Now when I hit this button, it's just completely wet, which is better for me in my mix because I'll be playing other guitars and I just want that wet signal coming through. So what have I done? Let's go in. Let's start by having just just the amp. So I've got a low gain and a medium gain, where I've done more or less very similar things. Just dialed it in slightly differently. Be pushing things slightly differently here, and in the EQs. But when we get to the wets, let's just go into that channel on its own. Oh, we're in the high gain. Sorry, the medium gain. So let's go to the clean. That's better. So what happens is we come in, and first off I'm doing a cut at the divide. I'm taking off on my high pass filter here in the A channel. I'm cutting everything below 315 so it gets really thin. Don't want any kind of muddiness down there, and you use a high pass filter here, so that's only letting through frequencies above 315. In the other side I've left it flat, okay? But I come in, I hit an EQ. Now there's already a cuts coming through here in the EQ, but I then scoop out even more 500. I want it to sound kind of really tinny, and then I give it a little bump, take out 1k here, taking out 1, everything is flat here, and then I give it a little bump at the top, 16. Now there shouldn't be much energy there because obviously I've got a high cut at 8k coming on here, but any sound that's generated after this point that introduces those frequencies, I want them, if that makes sense, and it gives it a bit more air. Okay, and I start that boost here at the 8k where I've boosted by about 2 and then here by about 3. That's then going into a delay. I've played around with where I put this EQ and I ended up at the front of the chain here. So the delay again is set to 250 Hz. What we're going to do is just, actually, let's turn off the reverb, turn off the delays for a moment. Ignore the delay for a minute. We're just going to focus on the auto wah. So we've got an auto wah here that's running at full level, really low rate, got the depth up at 60, using the bandpass filter, and there's my frequency and resonance, using the sine, none of the direct mix coming through. So when I'm strumming my guitar, I get that because it's going into a pan effect here, okay? Now here you can affect the waveform of the pan. You can have it aggressively switch, so it skips, or you can have it move around. Okay? Now I kind of actually had it, where was it, about 70, so I was kind of going for a bit of switch, but a smoother transition, so it wasn't so much of a cut. And then this goes into a compressor, okay, where I'm just using like a mastering compressor style, the 1.6 to 1 ratio, a little bit of tone, none of the direct mix. Not too much on the tone here either, because it gets a bit in your face. But the level at 45 and both the sustain and the attack in the middle. And I'm just using the stereo comp, okay? So that's what that sounds like before I add a delay. Let's add this delay. Let's turn that off. Let's bring in my dry signal. Let's add that delay. Okay, but what I actually do when I'm playing the tune is I've got this delay gauged as well. So at the mixer at the end of the divide, we're set in stereo again, but this one's coming straight up the middle. And what you're getting, if I come back to here, let's just, what we'll do is let's make this single and then go to there and hear this on its own. So here, I don't know if you remember, here we have 250 milliseconds. Over here, we've got 500 milliseconds. So this one's coming up the middle and just doing, you know, 3 kind of audible hits. You'll probably only really hear 2 of them in the mix. But then I slap a reverb onto that. Okay, now the reverb, I've got control over the level. Actually, so I can just pull it back if I need to. So if I was playing through, not going so heavy on the effects, just using a bit of the delay and the reverb, I can just pull the reverb back a bit using the expression switch, okay? Nice, so let's get rid of that guitar. Lovely, so that gives me that stab with an echo on it. So let's come back to this A side. Let's add the B side. Let me just turn all of these off. Start introducing them. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I think I've got a compressor here. Yeah, so that compressor has come on at the front here, where I'm just using a Boss comp, got the sustain at 60, attack at 70, level at 40 something. The tone is up at 10 though. 2 to 1 ratio, 30% of the mix coming through. Okay, so I'm going to leave that there like that, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to start taking some loops. You'll be like, Paul, what the bloody hell are you doing? Should make sense in a minute. Let's get some colour in for our amps. Let's just make sure the loop is on the right track. So we've got 2 sets of beats and 2 sets of bass lines. We're going to do a jam in E, and then we're going to do a jam in drop D. So we'll get a bit heavier. So go take a loop. Okay, I've got my loop. Let's go back to the first patch that we looked at. And I'm going to try figuring out, seeing if I can remember what I was trying. Yeah, okay. Okay, so I'm going to try taking a loop of that. Try taking that loop again. I made a mistake. Okay, got it that time. So what we're now going to do is go to a low gain amp here. Stick on our verb. Going to go to the right amp, stick on an auto wire. Now go to a medium gain driven, stick on a bit of verb, see how it sounds. Just pull the gain pot on the neck back to about 7/8. Introducing a reverse delay. Okay, so I'm going to take away the loops I've just put in. I'm just going to pull the volume down on them, and I'm going to split my channel into stereo, disengage from my wets here actually. Just stick a boost in front of that, and then we're going to come crashing in just bass and drums, stereo guitar. That's working for me, so let's go back to this patch, go to a low gain, go into the left side, stick on a fuzz. Take a loop. Now I'm just going to go to a low gain, stick on a slapback and a compressor, go to the neck pickup, to here and detune. I managed to mess up restringing my guitar the other day, put too long a string on it, giving me trouble. Ooh, let's just check. Nice, so the delay and reverb that's happening over here that we can hear still is just a split chain here where I've got a reverb on the one side, but I'm using the space echo, sending that into a distortion overdrive XOD. Yeah, nice, it works well. We do have some chorus after that as well. Okay, I've covered how I set this up in another patch, but I'll be going more into those when I do these patch deep dives. I'm going to dive into these in a separate video. Excuse me. Now we're in D. What we're going to do is we're going to go to the low gain. We're going to change. Actually, let's just save what we did there so we can reference it if we want to a bit later. I'm going to try and keep this next jam short. Short and to the point, but I might test out actually a distortion on my vocal, so we'll see how we go. Medium gain. Take a loop at that. Gonna come in on a low gain. Gonna hit my fuzz. Medium gain, dry, boosted. I've been loose with my heart and my candle. Okay, so now I'm going to cross over, but I haven't got my carryovers saved, so I'm just going to do that and it will cut. And what I want to do is I want to try something in this tune. Normally I would use to help me carry the spillover. Let me turn that distortion off. Oh, that's better. To help me carry that crossover happening, I would use the wets that I've got running on HX Effects, but we're not using them in this session. So what I'm going to do is I'm now going to go to my low gain. I'm going to crank on the fuzz. I'm going to crank on the wets. They're fully wet. Going to stick on the synth. And I'm going to engage HX Effects wets. Should hear that now filling up around us. Okay, I really enjoyed that. Sounded fucking great in the room. Took a little minute to get that last little bit set up, but I'll figure that out for when I'm doing the lives. Yeah, I like the orange. Sounds great through my 2 notes. Looking forward to the amp deep dive on that. I'll catch you in a bit. Bye.